Howdy, howdy. Um, so I'm going to talk, uh, hopefully I have a short video here. Just about some things that's been going on with me recently, things I've learned, progress I'm making, um, with myself, life, I don't know, just in general. I'm not making very much progress on my financial situation, my career, if you would call it that, my business. Um, because I don't know where to go with that yet. Okay, so that's something I want to talk about, and I want to use my little child, my kid. I've talked about I have kids inside of me. You see, that is the little boy inside of me being creative and drawing, but that's also the man inside of me and his hopes and dreams. So this is a woodshed. We'll just do her like this. Let me see what y'all got here. Okay. Here's my woodshed, neighbor's house, background. This is what I want. Shop, garage, a little, I don't know what you call that, a condo or something, a little suite up here, okay, with a patio, so I can watch the sunset, because I have a beautiful fucking view, up here in the mountains where I live. And I want to show it to y'all one more time, just because I really want y'all to look at the details. This doesn't look like much to most people, but look at every single tiny little mark that I made. Every single one of them tiny little ass damn things. And that's just in that stuff. Those were easy. If you really look, you can. I put a lot of time and effort into this. There's a lot of detail into this. I mean, I don't know how much time I had in this, but easily 3 to 4 hours. But here's the thing, it didn't all go together at once. I done what I knew, what come to me when it come to me. I done what I was able to do. And it took me overall like 2 or 3 days, maybe. Might have started it one day and finished it the next, or maybe 3 days. I don't know. But anyways, um, I would do what I knew, and when I come to a point where I wasn't sure what I wanted, or where to go from there, I would set it down. I would just set it down. And I would go do other things, you know, and quit worrying about it. Try to focus on other things. Yeah, I say you don't worry about anything. Don't worry about nothing. It was always there in the back of my mind, but I just kind of let it rest. I let it relax. I relaxed and, didn't focus so hard on it. And I lived life. I just went and lived life, doing other shit. And then it would just naturally come back to me. It would come back to me, okay? And my mind would kind of work things out on its own. You can trust your mind. You can let your mind run and do its own thing. It will work. Your mind is incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. Okay. You can be doing physical work and doing other shit, and your mind will be working out other problems if you learn to open your mind up. You have to open your mind and allow it to run freely. If something's free, that means it's free to move about as it pleases and to do, it's freed up. It's kind of like the difference between, um, the brakes on your goddamn vehicle. Okay, when you apply the brakes, your rotors and your tires are no longer free to move, to roll freely. Okay, when you let go of the brakes, they can roll freely. So your mind's the same way. Sometimes you got to apply brakes to it, but overall, if you learn to trust it, okay, let it flow and work freely on its own accord. Um, you can only do this if there are no problems with it. If there are no issues or anything. Sometimes you got to apply brakes. But genuinely, you don't want brakes in there. You want everything to roll smoothly, flow smoothly. Your mind to operate freely. All right. So you can let it do its own thing while you clean the house or work or whatever. When you're doing genuine things that don't require a great deal of focus and mental ability, you can kind of just let your mind do its own thing, and your body can work. They're two separate individuals. So I've talked about having a wife and kids inside of myself lately. I've basically had to raise my own wife and my own kids and everything. They're inside of me. So my mind, my heart, and my sexual organs and my chakras, all my chakras and everything, all my working limbs and fingers, all these things are individual components of myself. Individual working components. Just like a family, you have a husband, a wife, and kids. If you do a godly, religious type of family, um, it don't matter what kind of family you do. You have a father, a mother, and kids. Children. So these are all working components of a wholesome family. Uh, Most people these days don't work together. They're divided. There's a lot of friction and problems between them, and they're not able to flow freely and smoothly. Things aren't right. Problems need worked out in our country amongst relationships, how we deal with relationships and stuff, divorce and all that. But that's another topic. So I've had to learn to straighten out my own family, my internal family, my mind. I've dealt with addictions, alcohol and weed, and I would say sex, but it's orgasm or porn, masturbating. Okay, I've dealt with all those addictions and stuff, and that is chaos. So when you go to fixing yourself, fixing your problems, it's very, very difficult because it's not just, you don't just snap your fingers. You actually have to go in and pull yourself apart, dissect yourself, and find the problem, and then put everything back together. Um, so I've been doing that with myself over the last couple of years. Again and again and again, I have to keep going back inside myself with my mind and my heart and just these different things, and working out the kinks. So 2.5 years ago, I found God, and it was completely wholesome. And I was able to do unimaginable, just incredible things. My body, my mind, everything was completely free and loosened up to, it just flowed. It was all harmonized, in sync with each other. Everything was right inside of me. No problems. And now I fell away from God. And now I'm having to learn how to do that again on my own. And that's why I've such a deep understanding for the process in the Bible that the Bible leads us through. Because I've been through that process over and over and over and over again. I went through the process with this picture. I'm learning how to play guitar. I kind of learned back in high school, but I'm relearning. I'm having to reteach myself. So, in the beginning, you're in the Garden of Eden. You know what you know. If you take what you know and you perfect what you know and you stick with that, you can create paradise for yourself. You can create a Garden of Eden. But here's what happens when you do that. You create boundaries on yourself and you limit yourself. So how much you know is going to limit you on how far you get in life. It's going to limit you on what you do in life. So if you accept what you know and you refuse to learn anything else, then you'll become a wholesome person. But if all you know how to do is walk, talk, eat, and shit, maybe, it would be good to learn how to do other things to be a part of society. Because if that's all you can do, it's going to be hard to fit you in with the general public and society and the rest of the world. You got to know how to make money. You got to know how to drive a vehicle. You don't have to know these things. You don't have to know any more than you want to. Okay. But like I said, if you see something and you want to do something, if you want to enjoy the vast experiences that life has, you have to learn. Um, if you want to live, you have to learn. You have to have the ability to learn. And that means taking a bite from the tree of knowledge. So you just can't stay in the Garden of Eden. I don't see it's possible. Unless you're going to live in the woods like a caveman. I don't know. Even cavemen have to learn. Everybody has to learn. I'm going to tell you why. It's part of this worldly experience. As we grow, our bodies change. As our bodies change, our strengths and weaknesses change. Our physical abilities change. And so we have to adapt our mind to that. Um, I guess when I connected to God, it's as if I was in the Garden of Eden, paradise, completely wholesome. But I also knew how to learn. Learning was not, I don't know, did I learn? I gotta think back on this. I That's a yes and no. It's confusing, really. It's like I took everything that I knew, placed it, and I made the absolute most out of it. I guess I did learn things, but I didn't take in more that I could handle. So that's the problem, I guess, with a lot of people these days. We're struggling and suffering because we're trying to take on more than we can handle. You got to do a little bit at a time. Like I say, you have to start with what you know. If you're trying to start and do things that you don't know how to do, it's like taking too big a bite of food, and trying to chew it all up and everything. You liable to goddamn choke, and struggle your ass off. It's better to uh, bite off what you can handle. So I've gotten off topic. I can't say I got off topic. I didn't know exactly where I was going with this, and that's how a lot of it is. You start with one little tiny thing, what you know, and then you just grow and expand from there, and it kind of just almost leads itself. But I need to stop doing that. I want to develop a goal. I want to have a goal in mind and aim towards that goal and hit the mark, hit the goal. So I need to stop just kind of free floating and wandering around in my conversations here. So that's something else I need to learn. One big thing I want to talk about though is the wife and kids and how I have them inside of me. All right. I've had to learn to deal with my emotions, my heart, my desires. My stomach tells me it wants food and it wants something sweet, or my taste buds tell me they want something sweet, and I'm like, we don't need that, but we want it. So that's just like having a damn wife or kids or something. You got to please them, but there also has to be a certain amount of yes and no in there. You have to find a perfect balance between yes and no, between pleasing and disciplining yourself. Okay, your children, everybody, life, everybody. That's how life is. Finding that balance. If you can find it in one thing, you can find it in everything. All right. Once you find it, you found it. That's it. That's what it means. That's what it was for me to connect to God. I found that perfect balance. Um, and then it got disrupted. I lost my balance. I fell, crashed horribly. So the wife and kids was one thing. Another thing was learning to play guitar. So I talked. There's this thing happened to me when I took LSD. My fingers. I'm going to show y'all here. So normally trying to bend my finger, it bends like that. That second knuckle bends. What I had to learn to do is try to bend the first knuckle, playing the. I want to be able to do that to play the guitar. When I took LSD, it happened on its own so naturally. Let me see if I can do it. How the hell did I do that? I gotta set y'all down. Be careful you don't fall. So when I took LSD, I was able to do. Damn, I'm struggling with it at the moment. I was able to do that right there without struggling, without having to force it. Okay, I was my finger. I was just able to do that. I don't know why. My finger just bent naturally like that for me. Okay, and that was one thing I noticed when I was on LSD. Is what LSD does? It blows your mind open. It frees your mind up. When you free your mind up, you free your body up. This is where 99.9% of all our limitations are at. Your body. What do they say physical matter makes up in the universe? Physical matter makes up like less than 5% or something. Okay. Your body is less than 5% of your potential. 95% of your potential or more is in your mind. That's where your limitations are at. Okay. So when I was on LSD, I was able to do that. And then when LSD wore off and everything, now I can't do that. But I know that it's possible, and I know that I'm limiting myself in here. Part of that may also be the food intake. What kind of food you're eating and everything that affects your body, affects your mind. Um, that's part of it. More so than that, it's purely your mind and what you believe. I personally believe you can just eat anything you fucking want to, um, as long as you believe. As long as you believe in yourself, you believe it's okay. It's not hurting you. Then good. Do what you do. Okay, really and truly, it's about what you believe and how you feel. But you have to be honest with yourself. You got to be completely honest with yourself. So if you have, um, you can't believe in your heart, in your mind, deep in there, that cake is bad for you, but then tell yourself that, oh, it's not going to hurt me. It has to be what you believe, not just what you tell yourself, because you can lie to yourself if you want to. People do it all day, every day. Um, so here's a good way to find out what you believe in. Have a completely open mind. Be an observer. So when you eat cake, how does it make you feel? Does it disrupt you? Does it make you feel bad? Do you have confliction in your mind about, oh, well, this is good, or no, that's not good? Do you have confliction in there about it? If you do, then you got to figure that shit out. You got to straighten yourself out and figure out what you believe. And here's the thing, you cannot remain open about everything. You have to have a set belief system. You have to believe in something. Okay? You can't just believe in, you can't just have a completely open belief system, all right, about who you are, um, or what your abilities are and stuff. You actually have to believe in something. That's something that the spiritual community and a lot of modern day, yeah, the spiritual community, they like to talk about this limitless stuff and anything's possible. And it is, anything is possible, but you have to learn to do things. You're not just suddenly gonna be like, oh, you might accidentally fucking suddenly do something. That's what happens when we're completely innocent. In our innocence, we do the most incredible things. But then, if you want to repeat what you've done, you actually have to go through a very chaotic, hard, struggling process to learn how you did what you did. So we've all done it. We've all done it somewhere along the lines. Maybe you're not trying to do something. Say you want to throw something in the trash and you're not trying, and you just fucking throw it and it goes in the trash. But then you actually try to do that and you can't fucking do it. You miss every fucking time. So that's what I mean. When we're in our innocence, sometimes we do just the most absolutely mind-blowing, incredible things because we're moving freely. We're not conflicted. We're just like, oh, okay. And then things just happen to fall together. That's being in the Garden of Eden. Once you take a bite from a tree of knowledge, you see, oh, that was cool. I want to do that again. I want to know how to do that again. So if you want to know something to be able to do it again and again and again, you have to go through an intense process of training yourself to be able to do that, of learning how to do that. So with the guitar, learning how to do that with my finger, that's a process. All right. I know it's possible. I've done it in my innocence. I remember I was on LSD and I looked at my finger and I saw that. I was like, how did I do that? It's just easy, so easy, man. It just almost done it on its own almost. And then I went to Alabama. Here's one reason that stuck out to me so much. I went to Alabama and I talked to this guy down there, who was a big part of my spiritual journey. And I watched him. We was standing there talking, and I noticed him. He had his fingers on the hood of his truck, and he done that with his finger. And I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, man, this man must have just took LSD last night or something. Because he smokes weed and whatnot, and he's pretty out there. His mind is very open. But see, that was my ignorance. I was like, he must have done LSD because I correlated him doing that with me and what happened with me when I took LSD. Um, but that's not the case. That's just his mind is open that way, and he was able to do that. I think everybody carries the same abilities somewhere inside them, but we all don't get to express all these same abilities in this world, in this physical existence, because that would, if everybody was exactly the same, that would be boring. So you have to get to know your body. So your body is a major limitation, but your physical aspect, the physical aspect of you, is where you're going to find your boundaries and limits at. And you have to accept those. Because if you don't accept those, you can destroy your body. You can really fuck yourself up, um, and make life not pleasurable for yourself. Okay. So me going through this, I know that's possible, and now I have to break myself out of the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is where my finger just does what it does naturally. I have to break out of that, take a bite from a tree of knowledge, and every day I actually have to work with my finger and take it through this process. Um, as I'm playing the guitar, I do the G chord or whatever. I have to actually focus on that finger. I think I showed y'all this finger. It's this one. My ring finger is the one that I really try to do it with when I'm playing the guitar. But both of them. Um, and I have to make that happen. I have to actually make that happen. I have to willfully change my hand and fight and struggle with myself to get that to happen. And I'll have to do this. There is no time limit. There is no time limit. The only time limit, it takes you as long as it takes you. And that's it. And everything in life is that way. That's our fucking one major problem we have in life these days. Is we try to place time limits and due dates on things. If you want to do something and do it to perfection and do it right, you can't do that. Now you do have to have this sense of purpose. This, I'm not going to say urgency. You can't just be lax and be like, oh, well, I have the time of day. I have all the time in existence. Because then, if you have that attitude, you'll never get anywhere. So it's just like everything else. You have to find that balance. You got to find that balance between, okay, well, I have time. I can do this. But then also, like, oh, well, if I want to get this done and actually want to get anywhere, I actually have to try and put effort into it. So don't rush yourself. Don't be afraid of due dates and time schedules. I don't fucking I don't worry about time schedules myself. I probably should care about them a little bit more than I do. Um, for some things not. It depends. Um, for the most part, I quit worrying about them. All my life, I've been a last minute kind of guy, and I don't know, that causes stress and just bullshit. I don't know. I'm tired of that. I don't want to be a last minute kind of guy, so I just had to quit worrying about the due date altogether. Um, I don't know. That's something I need to work on myself about, change about myself. So I'll have to go through that process with that. Um, I could never that damn picture I drew, color and everything. I was never any kind of artist, and that's not a bad man. I'm proud of that. I'm pretty damn proud of it. I mean, shit. Hey, that's a better way. I need to start doing that. I don't know. Like I said, it might not look like much to y'all. Oh, here, I'll show you the details this way if you can see them. You see all the little tiny little lines, the knots in the wood. And, what else we got? It's a little road, trees. I mean, that's just, the distance. I was actually able to make it look as if there's a background. Instead of it being 2D, I was able to place a little bit of 3D into it. That's amazing for me. Y'all don't understand, dude. I used to draw stick figures and stuff. That was about as good as I could do. Yeah, I was very creative when I was a kid, but drawing was not. I never got a chance to develop that side of myself. So I have an artist inside of me, but I never got a chance to develop it. Um, so that's incredible to me to be able to take that out of my mind. And I didn't even have a clear vision of it in my mind. I just had an idea, I had a feeling of what I wanted to do. So I had to trust my feelings because I couldn't see all that in here. A lot of times sometimes I could see what I wanted in my mind and I would put it on paper. Sometimes I couldn't see what I wanted, so I just had to go off my heart. I had to trust my heart and just kind of I would get into it so much. And here's the thing, let me tell you something. When you really get into what you're doing, you focus on what you're doing, you don't worry about getting it done. You don't worry about the due date. When you just focus on what you're doing, you'll finish it before you even realize it. Or, you won't even realize it. That's what happened here. I've done everything. And the last thing I done was, I think, color the sky or something. And I got done with the sky and I looked at it and I was like, it blew me away. I was like, holy fuck, I got a finished fucking picture here. You know? Like, I didn't know what the finished product was going to look like. I wasn't anticipating anything. And then suddenly I seen it. Suddenly I finished it. And then suddenly I saw it. I was like, holy shit, I got a finished product here, man. That's done. I like that. That's good. So I surprised myself with it. So that's that innocence. If you can get into your innocence in everything you do, you will fucking blow yourself away all the time, man. It's incredible. It really is. And life is the same way. This is just a tiny little picture. Everything in life works that way, though. That picture, or the grand big picture of my entire life. 50 years worth of my life will work exactly the same way. If you step back and you have a much bigger perspective on things. So Pete, my cardinal, come to see me. I can't turn y'all around. That aggravates me. I can't turn my camera around. That's Pete. I didn't intend this video to be this long, but here we are. There's tons of other tiny details and stuff that I've noticed in my life recently. I don't want to get into all that. Just because y'all need to start paying attention to all the tiny details in your life. That's what I'm trying to help you do. I'm just like a movie. You can watch the movie and enjoy the movie, but if you don't understand all the background production, all the stress, the time, the effort, the failures and the redos that everybody does in the process of making the movie, then you're missing the reality of life. That's how most people are. They love watching the movie. They love enjoying the finished product, but nobody wants to fucking be a part of the process of creating the fucking finished product. Nobody wants to sit through all the painful, stressful, agonizing hours and hours and hours of production. Okay, and it's the same way in reality when you're building your life. Okay, everybody wants to go out here and they want to take out a big loan and buy a house and buy a vehicle with a loan and enjoy it right up front and then pay it off as they go, or use money to get what they want. Money's terrible, man. We've gotten sucked into money so damn bad. Greed. My ex was the same fucking way. See, I've been through all this shit. I've been through it all. I'm a kind of man, I like to earn my way through life. I like to build as I go and earn shit. I don't like taking loans out and buying what I want and then paying it off later. Taking what I want up front and then earning it later. I don't know. I mean, I've done that because that's part of our world and how it works. I had to take out a loan for my property and for my truck. I had no other choice. It's either that or I sit at home and live off mommy and daddy. The government become my mom, or the country become my mother and father, I guess, supporting me along the way, which is okay. The reason it is that way is because we're breaking away from small time wholesome families and we're creating a much larger connected family as in the government. That's how it's supposed to work. All these systems and stuff are supposed to be here to enable enable people. Well, I'm curious about the definition of that word. To help people along, so enable them to be able to make it through life and stuff. But you should people are spoiled with it, So a lot of these systems need reworked and stuff. A lot of people's mindsets need reworked, which is what we're doing in this country at the moment. That's what's going on. Opening people's minds and changing belief systems and understandings and everything. That's why everybody's talking about everything. We're learning to communicate and develop a deeper understanding for everything, just everything, all that's going on. Democrats, Republicans, you know, left brain people, right brain people, straight people, queer people. All these things, they all have to work together. They have to work together, just like in nature. Some trees grow straight and tall, and some grow crooked and wild. Okay, that's just the way it is. But it all works together. If it doesn't work together, it destroys itself. So, I got a long ways to go, man. I got a long ways to go. I got a lot of things to teach myself. So, what happened when I connected to God? I completely fell into my innocence, and all my potential was revealed to me. When I say my potential, I mean like my mental potential, not my physical abilities, because your physical abilities, when you completely open up your mental abilities, your physical abilities will constantly grow and develop and change all the time. Your spiritual abilities, you need to find your potential, your height of that, and trying to hold on to that. That's what's hard. That's the hard part. So I don't know. I found it in my innocence. That was my Garden of Eden. And then I took a bite from a tree of knowledge. Didn't listen to God. If I would have listened to God, I could have stayed in that paradise, in that state of knowing who I was and that full potential of myself. I could have stayed there. But then I would have been a subject of God. I would have been dependent upon God for everything, for all those abilities. And see, by taking a bite of the tree of knowledge and stepping out from under God is what I did. He rejected me. I didn't step out from under him. When I rejected his teachings, his paradise, he rejected me. So it's one and the same. I could say he rejected me or I rejected myself. Okay, there's no difference. There is no difference. I had to learn to. I've got to learn to figure all this shit out on my own. And believe me, when I fucking tell you, it's a goddamn bitch. I've told you before. Holy fuck, there's times I literally didn't know if I was going to make it. I don't know. It was rough, bad times. Mentally and emotionally, very, very, very bad. And I've had to pull myself out of that darkness, those bad places, time and time again. Just like some of these movies that you watch, anime shows and stuff. I love anime. God, I love it. Attack on Titan and Seven Deadly Sins on Netflix. I love that's an incredible one to me. Attack on Titan is as well. What else? Supernatural. Rocky, the Rocky Balboa movies. All these movies and stuff, they carry this process inside of them. This process of struggling in life, taking a bite from a tree of knowledge, and then going through all the chaos and everything, and learning and developing yourself to become a godlike person. You don't have to become godlike. You can remain an innocent child of God and under the wing of God or Christ if you want to. But if you want to be your own man, your own individual person, you have to go through these struggles. And here's the thing, you got to remain humble, because no matter how much you go through, there's always, always, always going to be a bigger aspect of God. So when you step out of the Garden of Eden and you take a bite from the tree of knowledge, what you're beginning to do is embody God. The God that you know, that you found, that God that created that paradise for you, that innocence that I was, all those abilities and everything I had, I could say come from a God, something outside of myself that was bigger than me. What I have done by stepping out from under his paradise is begin to embody him. So learn everything that he knew, everything that I knew back then in that godly state. I now have to learn piece by piece. And when I learn all that, I will have embodied that God. I will have become God on that sense, in that sense. Um, and that's confusing. Because in one sense, the God that I was back then, that I embodied, was the infinite, limitless, eternal God. So I don't know. Like, once you embody that God, is there a bigger God? Not sure. That's a question that cannot be answered, really. I would say, in one sense, yes, there is. In another sense, no, there's not. So, you have to remain humble. So, whether you believe that there's a bigger God or not, you have to remain humble. If you stop being humble, if you think you're the most powerful thing in the universe and you can do whatever you want and get away with it, life will smash your dick in the ground. And that is life teaching you that there's always somebody out there somewhere that's bigger than you. So there's always a bigger God somewhere. If you maintain your humility, you maintain yourself, you don't lose yourself, you'll never have to worry about finding out. You'll never have to worry about anything. So in a sense, you can be the biggest God. But the only way to be the biggest God is to be the humblest God as well. To not be boastful and arrogant and tyrannical. Okay, you have to be just and fair and honest and loving and good with life. And innocent. You have to be innocent. You have to just be innocent. Once you break your innocence, you break your godly state of being. Life will teach you a lesson. Or once you break somebody else's innocence, there's no difference. You break somebody else's innocence, you break your innocence. So it's difficult. It's a challenge. It is. It's a challenge. Are you gonna live up to it, or are you gonna fucking whine and cry and fail and wallow in your misery, or accept where you're at? Accepting where you're at's a very good thing to do if you want to be peaceful, and if you're happy where you are and you have everything you want. Man, just accept it and live life. Don't hurt other people and don't hurt yourself. If you want to grow and develop, you kind of have to hurt yourself. You have to put yourself through that struggling process. So you have to hurt yourself. And here's the thing, when you do that, you're not only going to hurt yourself, you're kind of going to hurt other people too. But here's the thing, these other people, you can't hurt somebody else unless they are stuck in that process as well. Somebody who knows who they are and they've accepted their life and they're at peace with themselves and everything, you're not going to hurt them. There's like nearly nothing you can do to hurt them. Really, there's not. So you don't have much to worry about. If you're hurting somebody else, you're hurting yourself. Okay? If you're tired of suffering, then stop suffering. If you're tired of learning, you're tired of going through that process, then stop. Accept everything. Find a place of acceptance and settle in. Okay, just settle in and live life. It's all what you want. It's all about what you want. Where are you at? Are you where you're supposed to be in life? Because if you're not, then you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be able to settle until you get where you need to be. And then genuinely, what happens is we settle in for a time, but then we get complacent, or we get bored, or we get tired of being settled into that place of perfection or acceptance, and we want something different. We become curious. We become curious oftentimes. Say we want something different. It's curiosity develops or arises, and then we take a bite from a tree of knowledge and we fuck ourselves up again. Yeah. So that's on you. That's your choice. If you're suffering, I promise you, it's nobody's fault but yours. You have to figure out where you're at. Grow, learn and grow, learn and grow, learn and grow. The only way to end your suffering is to complete your process, complete yourself, make yourself wholesome. So the only way to do that is by learning, healing. Learning is healing. Okay. That's all I got. I love y'all. It's a nice, beautiful day out there today. I gotta go do something, find something to do. So probably cut a load of wood or two. That's what I need to do. I love y'all. Be good. Hope you enjoy. 40 minutes again. That was a long one again. Good deal. Bye bye.